whatsoever? The world was in an uproar. Many wealthy individuals and world-renowned angel investors watched the news and fell deep in thought. Yemen grew increasingly prosperous, gradually stepping onto the world stage. A significant number of people have considered bringing their businesses to Yemen for mutual growth. Now, forget about investing in Yemen. Even just visiting Yemen? They won't go. Dragon Nation. The backlash has grown so intense that even Longwa, which has always defended Yemen, has been left speechless this time. Because Yemen's actions were too baffling. It left the people of Dragon Country utterly perplexed. What's really going on with Yemen? They're our partners, right? Why stir up trouble at this critical juncture? Yeah, this is just sabotaging their own future. Has the Yemen king lost his mind? Yemen was mythologized to such an extreme that its flaws are now exposed. A bunch of narrow-minded, short-sighted fools who can't see the long-term benefits, only coveting immediate gains. Hope they don't regret it. Sigh, what a shame. I thought this time Yemen's leaders could lead the nation to create a new legend. Looks like it's hanging by a thread. Netizens, thankfully, remain relatively rational. They're all seriously analyzing the issues, sighing over WeChat's future development. As for the Dragon Nation's high-ranking officials, they share the same perspective. Su Jinghua was deeply disappointed in Zhang Yi. After much deliberation, he had intended to call Zhang Yi to warn him against such actions, which would stifle Yemen's future. Through several interactions, he knew Zhang Yi was a smart man. How could he make such a grave mistake at this critical moment? But in the end, he decided against it. Perhaps Zhang Yi was a military genius, exceptionally talented in warfare. But when it came to governing a nation, forget it. For the Dragon Kingdom, this might not be entirely bad. The more mistakes Zhang Yi makes, the more leverage they'll have over him in the future. If all else fails, Dragon Nation will simply take over Jiangdong directly. All these years of planning, Longhua has long prepared numerous contingency plans for Jiangdong, ready for any eventuality. Public opinion in the Dragon Nation is already in this state. As for other nations, needless to say, unanimously, it's nothing but condemnation. What a bunch of assholes, openly committing such human rights violations. Oh God, do these uncivilized savages even realize what they've done? Their fangs are finally bared. We warned you, allowing the Kingdom of Yemen to establish itself as a global catastrophe. Now do you believe us? I propose we unite to strangle the Kingdom of Yemen and erase it from the annals of history. Oh my gosh, that's a great idea. When it comes to assets within the Yemen territory, every country gets a share, no one gets shortchanged. Yemen investors. From all over the world. Many nations, upon learning their citizens could face detention in Yemen and have their personal assets seized by the regime. Naturally, they're unhappy. They unleashed even fiercer criticism. Obama and Liu Wen hadn't anticipated beforehand that this public opinion battle would prove so successful. It had been a long time since Yisili had unleashed such full-scale firepower. They almost forgot. They were the masters of public opinion in this world. Mess with Yisili, and you won't get off easy. Liu Wen gloated over this. This was the first piece of good news in ages that truly lifted his spirits. Obama chimed in, yeah, but don't get too excited just yet. Now we can plan the next move. Video conference. The two exchanged a knowing smile. Their smiles betrayed too much bitterness and helplessness, along with the relief of finally seeing their schemes succeed. Before the conflict with the Yao Kingdom, neither of them would have imagined it. Neither Obama nor Liu Wen could have imagined they'd nearly be driven mad by this affair. The situation continued to escalate. It had already caused significant repercussions within the Yemen Kingdom. Many Yemen citizens believed Zhang Yi had gone too far, effectively blocking the path to development. As for multinational workers who have already invested or are employed in Yemen, are now planning their exit. There's no way around it. Yemen has been thrust into the eye of the storm. No one wants to stay here and get fleeced. Your Majesty. Charles, the nation's think tank, realized that certain hard-won foundations of this country were about to collapse. They had no choice but to seek out Zhang Yi. We must act, they said. Here is our plan of action. Would you care to review it? Not for now. Zhang Yi shook his head, a playful smile playing on his lips. Rest assured, Charles. The corporations may want to flee now, but they won't be able to leave anytime soon. I'll arrange a press conference soon to clarify everything. He knew the Lighthouse Congress was slinging mud. Zhang Yi hadn't expected them to sling such filth. That's the only trick they know how to play. As for substantive impact, at this stage, it's mainly some companies who, upon hearing the rumors, are already preparing to pull out their investments and flee. Zhang Yi certainly won't let that happen. Good. Learning that Zhang Yi had a plan, Charles finally relaxed. Zhang Yi felt deeply gratified. Charles, aside from himself, was likely the person most concerned about this nation. Because of his role. His role was to serve this nation, with safeguarding the country at its core. Rest well, Charles. Yes, Your Majesty, you too. Charles withdraws. Zhang Yi rose and left the office. Moments later, the camera cut to the interrogation room. Zhang Yi got up, grabbed some food from the refrigerator, and began eating while watching the interrogation on the screen. The interrogator was none other than Black. Your Majesty. Zhang Yi waved his hand, signaling Black to ignore him and continue the interrogation. Black understood. The person being interrogated at that moment was an entrepreneur from the Lighthouse Nation who had invested in the power industry. Due to his earlier non-cooperation, Black had given him a little lesson, leaving the stubborn man nearly covered in blood. Considerately, Black had preemptively injected him with a stimulant to keep him awake, preventing him from passing out from the excruciating pain. A brutal double torment, both physical and mental. But Black had finally cracked this tough nut. Now he answered every question. Answer a bit slower? Then it was time for the dragon fruit treatment. Interrogation complete. Next. This time, the one brought in wasn't an entrepreneur, it was Herx. Chapter 95, Self-Sabotage reaching a climax. After so many days in confinement, Herx, a man renowned worldwide, looked visibly haggard. Yet his expression held no fear, only defiance and grievance. Until Black showed him footage of the previous interrogator's session. Hercules fell silent. Speak. Your true identity, your purpose, and everything you know. Black sat in the interrogator's chair. His gaze was calm as he looked at Herx. But Herx knew that Black's current calmness only applied to him when he was cooperating. The gruesome state of the previous interrogation subject in the video was etched into his memory. You'd better tell the truth. I tracked you down and brought you here because I've thoroughly investigated you. I know you have issues, which is why I brought you here. I already know the answers to some of my questions. I'm only asking to see if you'll be honest. Black flashed a kindly smile. Devil. To Herx, it was nothing short of the devil's grin. Panic seized him, his voice trembling. I'll cooperate. Don't hurt me. I can answer any question you have. Your identity. My name is Herx, though that's not my real name. My real name is Thompson. I was cultivated by the Lighthouse Nation as a public figurehead puppet. My purpose is to infiltrate high-level government circles in other nations. My philanthropist persona is merely a cover. As for my mission here in Yamen, the higher-ups want me to infiltrate this place, gradually use my influence to sow chaos, and cultivate anti-Yamen factions. Smack. After watching Black's interrogation, Jiang Yi couldn't help but applaud. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. With just a few words, he made Herx spill everything. He was truly born for this line of work. Next. The interrogation became even more thrilling. Black ordered Herx to reveal every internal secret he knew about Lighthouse Nation. Herx hesitated at first. But recalling the images from the video, he felt the pain in his fingers and teeth. They say the fingers are connected to the heart. He couldn't bear to imagine what would happen if Black served him a finger-chopping special. Herx's face turned ashen. In my residence, room 17405 of the Xylan building, under the bed in the bedroom, there is a silver-white safe. What's inside might interest you. Oh. Jiang Yi, upon hearing this, immediately dispatched men to the address Herx had mentioned. Before long, the items were retrieved. Herx opened the combination lock to reveal a collection of meticulously preserved confidential documents. These days, the internet sure has advanced. But when it comes to online content, no one can guarantee 100% security. Veteran intelligence officers like Herx still prefer to keep physical records. Jiang Yi didn't hesitate, casually picking up one of the files and flipping through it. First was the official roster of high-ranking officials from the Lighthouse Nation. The information was precise, including addresses, status and position, contact details, fingerprints, blood types, even iris scans. It also included their minor quirks. What dirty deeds they'd committed. Take Obama, for instance. Hadn't the evidence been right before his eyes, Jiang Yi would never have imagined he harbored such a peculiar inclination. And it wasn't just Obama, most of the Lighthouse Nation's high-ranking officials shared these niche fetishes. Each one more explosive than the last. Many were so extreme that they'd require censorship if aired on the news. Jiang Yi was utterly shocked. All he could say was, what a bunch of beasts in fine clothes. The contents completely reshaped Jiang Yi's understanding of the United States elite. Set them aside for now. It could serve as a ledger of life and death in the future. He'd been fretting over the decapitation plan, unable to find targets, and now they'd come right to him? And not just one, a whole pack. Jiang Yi picked up another document. This one documented the interactions between the Lighthouse Nation and Yisli over the years, the true state of affairs within both nations, and so on. After reading it, Jiang Yi finally understood why the two nations were so tightly bound together. Because many super capitalists in the Lighthouse Nation were actually squids. And Yisli, a nation founded by squids, why they'd align with each other became far less puzzling. A sealed, notebook-like object appeared in Jiang Yi's field of vision. Jiang Yi tore open the seal. Inside lay classified documents from the Lighthouse Nation's CIA. A pleasant surprise? Inside, a list of various covert operations executed in recent years was laid bare. This reminded Jiang Yi of something. The previously exposed international scandal from the Lighthouse Nation prism. They gained direct access to the central servers of 9 major tech giants: Microsoft, Google, Apple, Facebook, LinkedIn, Yahoo, and others. They tracked global internet users' emails, chat logs, videos, audio, files, photos, and other online activities in real time. This also included monitoring and eavesdropping on citizens' phone call records and surveillance of their online activities. This incident caused quite a stir at the time. It sparked widespread outrage worldwide. It became an indelible black mark on the CIA's record in the United States. Coincidentally, just by looking, I've already recorded quite a bit of data the CIA obtained through the PRISM surveillance program. It could potentially uncover many long-sought truths hidden in the dark corners of this world. There was simply too much to process all at once. Jiang Yi decided to store it away for now and review it later. It's unimaginable how much top-secret intelligence and scandalous material from the Lighthouse Nation this must contain. Hard to say. But it was certainly enough to threaten the entire Lighthouse Nation. If exposed, it wouldn't just spark public outrage, it would turn the Lighthouse Nation into the enemy of the entire world. Jiang Yi suddenly flashed a meaningful smile. The Beacon Nation. Isn't it fond of fabricating baseless smears and rumors to defame others? Now that these scandals are in our hands, it's their turn to crumble. No rush. Jiang Yi decided to let the bullets fly a little longer. Oh, right. Does the land of the free want traffic? Want to shape public opinion? Jiang Yi will give you that traffic. After leaving the intelligence department, Jiang Yi reached out to global media outlets, leveraging their massive reach. He kept building momentum. Over the next few days, he secretly stoked the flames, gradually pushing the online Yemen topic to its peak. Foreign companies operating within the country were panicking, fearing they could become the next targets at any moment. But they soon realized Jiang Yi had no intention of targeting them. Instead, he waited for the timing to be just right. When he felt the time was right, Jiang Yi directly called a press conference. At the press conference, journalists from major media outlets around the world swarmed in, packing the venue to the brim. The frenzy was unprecedented. Combined with the countless viewers watching the livestream, it was estimated that this broadcast would likely break yet another world record. Facing the cameras at the press conference, Jiang Yi began his address. This press conference primarily addresses the various recent questions and concerns. Countless faces lit up with anticipation. They couldn't fathom why Jiang Yi would voluntarily sever his ties with the Yamen kingdom. This was completely out of character for Jiang Yi. I believe there should be no issue with me apprehending domestic spies and purging internal threats, correct? Spies? After hearing this, countless people froze in front of their screens. Was Jiang Yi implying that all those people arrested recently were actually spies? Chapter 96, Foreign Journalists, Collective Meltdown. A brief silence fell over the press conference venue. The expressions on everyone's faces shifted subtly in unison. They seemed to have uncovered something truly shocking. Spies? Mr. Jiang? Could you elaborate on the specific internal information? Why wasn't this disclosed to the public earlier? Are you suggesting that all these foreign investors and multinational employees you've arrested are spies planted by other countries within our company? Have you obtained conclusive evidence? Mr. Jiang, could you please explain on camera how you uncovered these spies' identities? Mr. Jiang, why did you wait so long to make this statement? Why no response for such an extended period? Doesn't the kingdom of Yemo fear public opinion? The journalists' questions. They came pouring in relentlessly. Faced with this relentless barrage of questions, Jiang Yi felt a sudden headache coming on. Which one should he address first? He could only raise his hand to signal the reporters to calm down. Before Jiang Yi could speak, a reporter from the Lighthouse Nation forced his way into the crowd. Pointing his microphone directly at Jiang Yi, he bellowed, "Mr. Jiang, as far as we understand, your government has arrested numerous foreign investors and entrepreneurs in a short period without presenting any evidence. If you had proof they were spies, you should have disclosed it long ago. Yet this press conference was repeatedly delayed until now. Isn't your delayed response an attempt to evade accountability? Have you only come forward now because you realize the problem is unsolvable and need to force an explanation?" Such bold words. What courage! All eyes turned simultaneously to the reporter who had spoken. Blonde hair, blue eyes, a meticulously slicked-back pompadour, and a microphone bearing the emblem of the American media outlet. It's a reporter from the land of the morning calm. That's right. The reporter's words instantly filled the air with tension. Realizing a show was about to unfold, the journalists scrambled to point their cameras at Jiang Yi and the reporter, anticipating what would unfold next. What dramatic footage might they capture? Seeing the attention, the reporter seized the moment and pressed on, "Isn't this just purging dissent and seizing assets under the guise of reform? As the ruler of Yumen, how can you justify such inhumane actions? How can investors entering the Yumen kingdom ever feel secure?" This remark served a dual purpose. It both accused Jiang Yi, while positioning himself as impartial and righteous. On the other hand, he was speaking to those investors already in Yemen and to entrepreneurs who had planned to invest there. See? This is the corrupt and filthy Yemen. If you don't withdraw your investments and leave, what are you waiting for? A country with such ruthless, unscrupulous leaders who stop at nothing for profit is doomed to collapse sooner or later. Awesome. So fierce. Hundreds of other journalists and onlookers were present. At that moment, they all silently gave this guy a mental thumbs up. Not that they necessarily agreed with his stance. Some journalists, upholding their professional ethics, maintained neutrality. Their admiration for this guy stemmed from sheer respect for his courage. Jiang Yi was the kind of man who dared to confront even the United States. Speaking up like this in front of such a formidable figure. Aren't they afraid of getting their heads chopped off? However, Jiang Yi didn't get angry. Instead, he kept a smile on his face. Truly the Beacon Nation. This talent for slinging mud is truly masterful. The other party clearly wanted to provoke Jiang Yi, achieve their goal, and expose it to the world. They wanted the world to witness Jiang Yi losing his temper and breaking down. But he wouldn't let that happen. Jiang Yi whispered something to the subordinate beside him, who then left the press conference. 1 minute later, a file notebook was brought to Jiang Yi. Jiang Yi flipped through it, found the information he wanted, then addressed the reporter, Tom Franklin, male, 42 years old, residing at apartment 45, Lighthouse Jiazhou, Xingdi District. Employed by Lighthouse Nation's Yali Media Company. You're ambitious, but your performance has been mediocre all these years. The only viral story you ever broke was 3 years ago. Your boss is preparing to fire you, and you're about to face unemployment. Franklin. The Lighthouse Nation reporter who had just spoken stared at Jiang Yi in terror. Everything Jiang Yi just said was his personal information. He knew his age, address, company, job details, and even the impending dismissal. The entire venue erupted in an uproar. Everyone was stunned. How did Jiang Yi know so many of Franklin's private details? Investigate him? Swallowing hard, countless people suddenly realized how terrifying Jiang Yi truly was. If Jiang Yi could uncover Franklin's secrets, if he wanted to investigate them, it would be a matter of minutes. No need to look at me like that. Don't worry, I wouldn't investigate your secrets, and frankly, I'm not interested in them either. Jiang Yi spread his hands and smiled. Already freaking out? The real bombshell hasn't even been dropped yet. How do you know my personal information? This is illegal. Franklin shouted angrily, his expression stern. A bit flustered. Quiet. Jiang Yi shot him a look, silencing him. I've already said it, I have no interest in your privacy, nor in investigating you. What's in it for me? Jiang Yi couldn't fathom what these people were thinking. Investigate you? Do you think my intelligence department is too idle, with nothing better to do? Jiang Yi lay on the bed and rolled over. Click the icon, edit the text. All this stuff is the handiwork of the Lighthouse Nation. I wonder if you remember the Prism scandal that happened before. Prism? Why bring that up? Wait, could this be connected to Prism? The reporters suddenly understood. It seemed they were gradually piecing things together. Jiang Yi pressed his forehead. What kind of brains do these people have? He'd made it so obvious. Arresting spies. The US government's Prism scandal. Connect the dots, anyone with half a brain would see the pattern. Yes, these things were all masterpieces from the Beacon Nation. Jiang Yi turned back to the reporter. You came here under orders, didn't you? But it's a pity. Even though you work for the Beacon Nation, you're being watched too. To be precise, everyone here, you, and you. All of you are under surveillance by the Beacon Nation. If you don't believe me, I have plenty of internal Lighthouse Nation materials confiscated from spies. Take your time investigating, I guarantee it will shock every single one of you. How about it, everyone? Interested? The reporter's eyes widened slightly. Everyone is being watched? Just imagine. Every move you make falls within someone else's surveillance scope. To certain eyes, you possess no privacy whatsoever. Cold sweat broke out on many faces. Chapter 97, The Lighthouse Nation Scandal. Jiang Yi's few words. Everyone present was completely shattered. Yes. Without exception. Including the one who came to Franklin on a mission from the Lighthouse Nation, now trembling with fear. Looking at the silent crowd, Jiang Yi knew his words had hit home. Seizing the moment, he pressed on. I know you doubt me, but think about it. The Kingdom of Yamen was only recently established. We fought the government forces, then battled the Sand Wasteland, and later engaged in open and covert struggles with Yisalaming. Did we have time to orchestrate all this? Jiang Yi's words held merit. Franklin worked for the Lighthouse Nation. Yet upon learning he'd been stabbed in the back by the Lighthouse Nation, he remained composed. He carefully considered the hidden motives. This kind of scheme was precisely the sort of thing the Lighthouse Nation would pull off. Everyone, do you recall Mr. Herx? Jiang Yi's gaze swept across the room. He was the one packaged by the Lighthouse Nation as a super philanthropist. We obtained this intelligence directly from him. If you don't believe me, I can have Herx come out and speak with you personally. Hercules. Not an ordinary man. A world-class, super-duper philanthropist. He has fervent fans all over the world. In certain spheres, his influence rivals that of many celebrities. The countries he invests in. He is received by high-level officials in the host countries. In the investment world, Herx also held a high standing, enjoying the reputation of a stock god. Jiang Yi pressed a button. Behind him, a large screen abruptly displayed footage of Herx's interrogation. In the footage, Herx confessed repeatedly. How he worked for the Lighthouse Nation, how he served the Lighthouse Nation. Simultaneously, he disrupted the internal affairs of other nations to achieve certain objectives. All sorts of dirty deeds. Helix confessed to every last detail. Among the many journalists present, there were quite a few ardent fans of Hercules. Upon witnessing this scene, their collective faith shattered. Who would have thought the land of the free could sink to such depths of depravity? Even Hercules was merely a puppet they had elevated. A puppet for political gain. The large screen immediately displayed live footage of Hercules. He looked in good spirits, though not as vibrant as before. But he certainly didn't look like he'd been abused. Hello everyone, I'm Herx. Hercules greets the assembled journalists. The journalists snapped out of their daze and frantically pressed their shutter buttons, capturing the moment. This is Heracles. One can imagine the global uproar this news will cause when it breaks. It would likely prompt a reassessment of the Lighthouse Nation by the global community. Their slogans. What about freedom, democracy, peace, and equality? All of these have now become nothing but a joke, the very essence of irony. Mr. Herx, is this all true? That you were merely a puppet crafted by the Beacon Nation? Mr. Herx, why did you do this? Were your previous charitable acts also fake? Was it all just for the sake of building a persona? Who gave you these orders? In the reality we know, who else is controlled by the Beacon Nation like you? I want to know, just how deeply has the Lighthouse Nation infiltrated other countries? How much of what you've done stems from your own convictions, rather than being dictated by the Lighthouse Nation? The reporters began firing questions relentlessly. Zhang Yi raised his hand to signal quiet. He then shut off the large screen behind him. The live feed was shown merely to prove to the journalists that Hercules himself was indeed in their custody. This wasn't for them to interview him. Helks was still in a sensitive phase. Zhang Yi had no intention of letting him make many public appearances. Well, now you understand what I meant. Zhang Yi's lips curved into a smile. The reporters fell silent, still clinging to a sliver of hope perhaps this entire setup was orchestrated by Zhang Yi? They just wouldn't give up until they saw the Yellow River. Seeing this, he instructed the staff present to distribute a set of materials. Every reporter received one. Upon receiving them and taking a closer look, they realized they were personal information cards. The portrait on the photo felt strangely familiar to them, as if they had seen it somewhere before. Suddenly, someone sensed something was off, looked up to one side, then lowered their gaze again. They compared the person across from them with the portrait on the profile card in their hand. His scalp instantly prickled with goosebumps. "These are our ID cards?" the reporter exclaimed. He said he felt the portraits on the data cards they'd received looked familiar. Turns out they were the journalists present. They had seen each other at the venue, which is why they seemed familiar. It just hadn't clicked at first. Yes. Seeing that someone had finally noticed, Zhang Yi nodded and said, "This information also comes from the CIA's intelligence in the land of the Morningcom. Ever since the last Prism scandal, they've been devising ways to use the internet to monitor people worldwide. Everyone here is a victim. These days, anyone and everyone goes online. And as long as you go online, your personal information will inevitably be exposed to those people." Zhang Yi could only state things this plainly. At this point, if anyone still stubbornly clings to the delusion that he was slandering the Beacon Nation, Zhang Yi could only say, "You're impressive." As a witness, people often lack empathy, unable to truly understand another's perspective. But if they were dragged into the situation themselves, that would be a different story. At this moment, everyone, like Franklin, realized the gravity of the situation. Many cursed the Beacon Nation to high heaven in their hearts. They cursed their ancestors to the nth degree. Some journalists resolved to write news reports immediately upon returning home, exposing the truth to the public. Exposing the Lighthouse Nation's shameless actions. Zhang Yi knew it. There are still many who see things clearly. No. It should be said that this fire has now engulfed them, pulling everyone into a vortex of reason. They had no choice but to calm down. Think rationally. Human nature isn't that complicated, is it? The so-called treacherous nature of human hearts. It's more accurate to say that when interests diverge, even the most irrational individuals learn to act rationally when their interests align. The press conference continued. Zhang Yi almost forgot that his primary purpose was to clarify matters. Therefore, I personally wish to clarify here, the rumors about us suppressing and exploiting foreign investors, expatriate workers, and entrepreneurs are entirely unfounded. Let me emphasize this point. Furthermore, I pledge to everyone here, not only will we not suppress you, but we will do everything in our power to assist anyone wishing to develop in the Kingdom of Yamen. We will provide any lawful support, provided you genuinely come here for cooperation. All sorts of things. These developments have prompted investors within Yemen to consider withdrawing their capital. Many have already begun taking action. They want to leave Yemen. Another crucial objective of this press conference is to retain these individuals, and to extend an olive branch to wealthy individuals worldwide. Next, Zhang Yi publicly pledged to offer various preferential policies to wealthy individuals and enterprises who invest in Yemen in the future. With various preferential policies. Chapter 98, Lighthouse Nation, Reputation in Shambles. The Lighthouse Nation aimed to exploit the situation to undermine the developmental potential of the Yemen Kingdom. But by doing so, Zhang Yi believes the Lighthouse Nation will soon regret making such a foolish decision. Because not only did they fail to achieve their desired effect, on the contrary, it was essentially a global advertisement for Zhang Yi. Combined with the preferential policies Zhang Yi had just announced, it's believed that soon many wealthy individuals from around the world will be tempted to invest in Yemen. Zhang Yi convened a press conference. With an event of this magnitude, the Lighthouse Nation and Yisalai couldn't help but take notice. The press conference commenced. High-ranking officials gathered together, paying close attention to the content of the press conference. When the exposure of Herx's activities unfolded, and Herx revealed their global surveillance operations hacking into countless private lives through the internet, everyone panicked. How did Herx manage to expose all this? And how did Herx even know about it and have evidence? Everyone looked at each other in disbelief, staring wide-eyed at each other. Complete bewilderment. Hercules was indeed their intelligence operative, handpicked and promoted by them to the forefront. But regarding this incident, the evidence Zhang Yi obtained from Herx and exposed to the public, even they had no idea Hercules possessed such material. Was Heracles secretly plotting against us all alone? Or was it for self-preservation? Someone suddenly realized. Helks. He likely knew they held him in their grasp, even his life was in their hands. Hercules knew exactly when he was useful. The Lighthouse Nation won't harm him. But the moment he lost his value, given all the inside information he possessed, the Lighthouse Nation would certainly not allow him to live in this world. Because only the dead can truly keep secrets. To protect himself, Hercules secretly gathered evidence that could threaten the Lighthouse Nation. To ensure that when the Lighthouse Nation no longer needed him, Hercules could still survive. By a twist of fate, this material ultimately fell into Jiang Yi's hands, who proceeded to make it public. The higher-ups were furious beyond belief. They were itching to arrest Hercs and execute him on the spot. The Prism Gate incident. It had already plunged the Lighthouse Nation into a severe public relations crisis. It took immense effort to finally quell the uproar. The subsequent damage was incalculable. Now, Jiang Yi's press conference could very well plunge the Beacon Nation into a similar predicament. It could even be worse than the last time. Because this isn't the first time. A senior executive stood up, exclaiming angrily, "What are we supposed to do now?" Their original plan was for the Kingdom of Yamen to issue a clarification, stating they were arresting spies who refused to confess. After all, it was unlikely the other side possessed concrete, decisive evidence. But now look at this mess. Jiang Yi had actually found the decisive evidence. What others referred to as. Everyone realized something truly terrifying. Hercules had been gathering all this evidence behind their backs. What about the others? Could something similar have happened to the others? If so, the consequences would be unimaginable. The entire upper echelon of the Lighthouse Nation would collapse. Don't ask, just say it was another miscalculation. Obama wiped the sweat from his forehead. Enough. It's too late for words now. First, contact the Yisili side and have them contain the public opinion backlash. Simultaneously, have someone produce a clarification video denying the press conference incident. At this point, we're back to the old ways. Denial is key. As long as they don't admit it, he doesn't believe the Yamen Kingdom can do anything to them. Simultaneously, have Yisili help contain the spread of news and suppress this incident as much as possible. Minimize the impact it would bring. At the press conference venue, the press conference continued. After clarifying the matter, Jiang Yi briefly outlined his vision for the future of the Yamen Kingdom. The primary reason remains the same: attracting wealthy individuals from around the world. As long as investors come, Yamen will inevitably prosper. Jiang Yi's vision was to transform Yamen into a global megacity and a super commercial hub. Then, leveraging existing resources and capabilities, gradually take control of the entire Jiangdong region and oust Yisili. Then, he'll slowly lay the groundwork for the entire world. Of course, these were Jiang Yi's inner thoughts, things he kept to himself, never to be spoken aloud. The reporters started out full of enthusiasm. Now they were merely going through the motions. They snapped a few shots and made a cursory record. All they could think about was wrapping up the press conference quickly so they could return to editing their footage and writing articles to expose the Lighthouse Nation. It was only through Jiang Yi that they learned the Beacon Nation had been perpetrating these morally bankrupt acts all along. Spying on everyone's private lives. What about the parts that haven't been exposed? Just thinking about it sends chills down your spine. Seeing the reporters' urgency, Jiang Yi wasted no time and wrapped up the press conference swiftly. After the reporters left, major media companies sprang into action, top to bottom. Some wrote articles. Video editors edited footage. Global Media, being Jiang Yi's own media outlet, received the first-hand information in advance. Thus, before other outlets could publish. Global Media, however, had already taken the lead, releasing the pre-prepared news video on their official website. The moment the video went live, views surpassed 100,000 within 1 minute, 300,000 within 10 minutes, and 700,000 within half an hour. In less than an hour, the view count surpassed 1 million, and it spread like wildfire. Views increased exponentially. While the 1-hour mark hit 1 million, just an hour and a half later, the view count reached a staggering 8 million. Global Media, reaching netizens across the globe. In an instant, the scandal exposed in the Lighthouse Nation has become common knowledge, causing a huge stir. It sent shockwaves across the globe. Damn it, I knew the Lighthouse Nation was a bunch of shameful, filthy bastards. In their eyes, is there any human rights left when they steal others' privacy so brazenly? The freedom, equality, human rights, and harmony they preach? To me, it's a joke. The Prism scandal already landed the Beacon Nation on the trending list once. They swore it was just a misunderstanding and vowed such things would never happen again. Yet barely any time has passed before something even more outrageous has occurred. The facts prove the Beacon Nation is a bunch of liars and hypocrites. LOL, you're just now realizing the true face of the land of the free? Damn, the Beacon Nation is truly shameful. But hey, maybe they're just trying to protect the world by gathering more intel? No need to overreact, right? Typical Koreans, the US's favorite sons. Still defending their master even now? Ha! In an instant, the Lighthouse Nation's reputation was utterly destroyed. Chapter 99, Protests erupt in the Lighthouse Nation. Watching the news released by Global Media. Such explosive coverage. The entire Lighthouse Nation leadership trembled internally. What the hell? Didn't we have Yisili help control the narrative? What's going on? Obama flew into a rage, reporting that negotiations with Yisili have been finalized, but the media outlet publishing this falls outside Yisili's jurisdiction. This platform is beyond Yisili's authority to intervene. What? That media outlet is the same one from before. Bao recalled. He declared, almost all major media outlets worldwide are controlled by Yisili. All they need is one word. And the news simply couldn't get out. Unfortunately, this particular media outlet is privately owned by Jiang Yi, and Yisili has no authority to interfere. A similar incident had occurred before. At the time, Yisili and the Lighthouse Nation attempted to leverage their financial clout. But the other side showed zero interest in the astronomical price they demanded. Obama closed his eyes and massaged his temples. What about that clarification video? It's ready and can be released anytime. Release it immediately. Yes, Mr. President. To demonstrate